Welcome, empowered principals, to the Essentials for New School Leaders. Got my podcasting microphone up today because I have been recording podcasts for you all, but I'm here to help you get started with your brand new school year. And I know it's only the end of June, but I'm sure you're starting your contracts coming up July 1st. You're eager, you're excited, your anticipation is really high. You want to do a great job, but you're also a little scared, a little nervous, a little overwhelmed. I've got you. It's going to be fine. Okay. So I want to tell you a little bit as you guys are getting settled in, how this all came to be, just to give you some background. So if you're brand new to the empowered principal world, I want to welcome you. I'm so happy you're here. It's an honor and a pleasure to be a life and leadership coach for school leaders. For those of you who are brand new to me, it's your first time you're ever meeting me. My name is Angela Kelly. I'm a former teacher. I was a district leader. I was a site leader. I was an instructional coach. I was a reading specialist, and I was an elementary teacher for many, many years before I started this business, the Empowered Principal Coaching Program, and Angela Kelly Coaching is the name of my company. But I started this back in 2017 when I realized there is a gap. There's a gap in support. There are books, there are conferences, there are administrative credentialing programs, but there's no form of daily, in real time, ongoing coaching, mentorship, learning, processing, masterminding. There isn't a space for school and district leaders to have these conversations. So I created the Empowered Principal Program just for that. So that's what this is all about. Okay. So, oops. So as you guys are getting in and getting settled, I want to talk with you about the essentials for school leadership and how this all came to be. So I've worked with school leaders. I worked with them at the district level when I was in a position within a district, but I also work with school leaders outside of that realm. I work with principals as a coach all across the country. I'm from different countries. I have worked with many, many, many school principals, and new principalship, it's the most fun and it's the most terrifying all at the same time, because the overwhelm is real. There are so many new things that you're doing, that you're learning, that you're trying to expand your self-concept, your identity as a school leader. You're going from being a sufficient teacher or whatever position you were in before, feeling confident and sufficient in that job. And now you're stepping and expanding yourself into a new job that feels very big. It's like you're putting on mama's shoes and you're these little feet in these big shoes. You have big shoes to fill. There's a big identity gap happening. Am I capable? Can I do this? There's a little bit of wobbliness, right? Like learning to ride a bike. Can I do this? I'm afraid I'm going to fall down and scrape my knee. I'm afraid I'm never going to learn. I'm afraid there's too much to do. I don't know if I can handle this. There's going to be a lot of that. So all of that's normal. I just want to normalize all of the emotions. There's a lot of emotional energy in your body. That's okay. Nothing's gone wrong. Okay. So overwhelm is normal. If you feel it, you're right on track. If you didn't feel overwhelmed, I'd actually be a little shocked, a little surprised, because you're expanding your identity and you're asking yourself to step into a lot more energy and a lot more doing and a lot more being, okay? And a lot more belief in yourself. Now, what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to be talking about the mindset aspect, but I'm also going to dive into the technicality of it, the practicality of it, and what you actually need to do. Because I know brand new leaders, they want to know the how. What do I need to do and how do I do it? So I'm going to show you the how today, literally giving you a piece of my program for free because I know how valuable this is. And this is just one tiny little component, but it's a big one for school leaders, okay? Planning out a full year, figuring out how you're going to do a full year. You can't even comprehend that. It's just too big. It's too far out. It's too many details. So sometimes you have to do a site plan, right? You have to come up with goals and you have to come up with objectives and how you're going to figure all of that out. And that feels very daunting. We're still going to do that because that's a compliance issue. You've got to fill that out. But when everything that's coming into your space and onto your plate, when everything's a priority, nothing's a priority. And then when everything feels like a priority, you start playing whack-a-mole. You can't decide what to do or what to prioritize or how to spend your time or how much time to spend or how much effort. So you're just guessing. And that can put you into what I call an overwhelm cycle, where the approach you try to do is you try to run faster. You try to run harder. You try to go bigger and wider. You work longer hours. You work earlier in the morning and later at night. You skip your workouts, or some people skip dinner with their families, right? You kind of do the family thing, and then you go back to work in the evenings until you fall asleep, only to get up and do it again. That's not what we want for you, especially as a new leader. We want to set standards in place and procedures in place. And yes, you're not going to know, you're going to be new. It's going to be a little clumsy. You're not going to be able to get everything smoothly the first year. But when you have this self-identity, when you have these tools and this resource, and you join EPC and you get this from the get-go, the experience you have, the expansion of your identity it will expand much more quickly, much more fast, much more expeditiously. And it will also be smoother. You won't have to just like figure it out and learn as you go and fake it till you make it as often, because you'll have this. Okay. So if you're new to the position, this is a perfect time for you. If you want to establish some true priorities and a primary focus, this is where you need to be right here, right now. Okay. Here's what I know to be true. What brand new school leaders want is they want to feel calm. They don't want to be thrown off guard. They don't want to be in fight or flight 24/7. That doesn't feel good. They want to have a focus. They want to have clarity. They don't want to feel always confused and overwhelmed and in doubt and insecure and insufficient and incapable. Those are feelings you're going to feel, but we want to reduce those and focus on what clarity and focus and trusting and calmness feels like. And what you really want is, I want to be prepared. I want to be prepared in a job that I've never done before. I want to know what to do when I never have done it before. So you can see there's a little dissonance happening here. I want to feel calm, safe, confident, prepared, but yet I've never done this job. So I understand what you're aiming for and the emotions, the emotional state you're aiming to be in. You want to feel like you're good at your job. You're on top of things. These are thoughts you want to be thinking about yourself because you want to feel aligned to that truth. The truth is, you're not going to know how to be that version of you until you practice it, until you try it. I teach a whole course on the art of being new, how to be brand new in the position. I will be doing that course again in the coming weeks because it's so important for you to understand how to leverage and embrace all of that new energy that you have and how to leverage it really in a way that serves you. Okay. So I just want you to know you are in the right place. I've helped dozens upon dozens upon dozens of people. I've been doing this since 2017. Okay. So here's what I want you to walk away with today. If you're watching this live, I will coach you. We're going to do it's workshop style. And if you're watching this on the replay, then you can pause and you can watch it and you can do it as slow or fast as you need to. Okay. Which is even better. So what you're going to walk away with is I'm going to teach you why taking time out of your day to stop running around and stop doing and to spend some intentional time planning, and why that is a better use of your time than taking your to-do list and putting out fires all day. It's going to help you feel better. It's going to help you feel so much more focused and clear. And it actually makes you a more valuable leader, a more productive leader, because you have a system, you're organized, you know what you're doing, how much time you need to do it, and what your goals are and your outcomes for that day are. Okay. So I'm going to teach you a clear process for creating your 3-month plan. And then I'm going to talk about some things to consider and some pitfalls. That's what you're going to walk away with, all of that in just this next hour here. I want to just highlight a little bit as to why this is different. This is different because you're not attempting to do it all. You're not going to take that to-do list and just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's not what we're doing. We're going to do it a different way. I'm going to show you how. We're also going to reject overwhelm as an option. When you get caught up in the overwhelm cycle, you lose clarity. Everything feels discombobulated. It feels very confusing. And you clump all of your things into one bucket. And it just feels like you're never going to dig yourself out. But if you stop and you say, look, if I weren't overwhelmed, how would I handle this? How would I prioritize this? How would I triage the things that I need to do? And you get yourself back out of confused and doubt and I don't know what to do and somebody please help me, and you wave the white flag. Or you just start doing whack-a-mole and you do this a little over here and a little over there and a little over here, and at the end of the day you're like, what did I just spend the whole day doing? Did I accomplish anything today? It doesn't feel like it. Okay? I want you to consider that as the school year comes back into full swing and people start re-entering the campus, students, families, teachers, support staff, issues and challenges are going to bubble to the surface. That doesn't mean they're necessarily a problem. It doesn't mean a bad thing. You're in the business of humans, and humans bring challenges, situations to you, but it doesn't have to be this big dramatic problem. It also doesn't always mean it needs to be your undivided attention at the moment you learn about it. There are true emergencies, and then there are situations you learn about, but when you decipher for yourself, you triage it for yourself, it might not be a demand you need to respond to in the immediate. Okay? One of the hardest things about being a new school leader is understanding how to prioritize. That is the gist of this program, of the 3-month plan, is practicing what it feels like to prioritize. There's only so many hours in the day. It's like time is like a budget. You have every minute is $1, and you have to allocate a certain amount of minutes to a certain project or a task or a meeting or an appointment or planning time or whatever you're doing on your campus, getting it set up and ready for people, getting master calendars ready, getting class lists assigned, talking to new families, onboarding, hiring, shifting around, construction things, cleaning, maintenance. There's a lot of things going on in the summer. And one of your jobs is to really learn how to actually prioritize in a way that feels good for you. Okay? So again, for those of you brand new, welcome. So happy to have you. We've had a huge intake of brand new leaders, people interested in EPC. So I really want you guys, if you're watching this in real time, this is June of 2024. I want you to make sure you secure your spot in EPC for the fall of 2024 before it's too late. Because I have a lot of people knocking on the door, a lot of interest. So bring a colleague, bring a friend, make this fun, make this like a party you want to come to every week. It's going to be epic. So the number one thing that a new school leader wants, the most essential thing that a school leader wants, is to feel prepared. Even though you're new, even though you don't know what you're doing, you want a sense of, I'm prepared to walk into this day, this week, this meeting. I want to feel prepared in knowing where I need to be and when, what scheduling and systems and all of that. I want to feel prepared. So I want you to take a moment right now and pause this if you're watching it on the replay, or just take a minute if you're watching this live and ask yourself, what do I believe I need to be prepared? What is it that I'm imagining preparedness looks like? What do I know is coming up? What are the things I know I have to be prepared for? Write them down. I call it a brain drain. You're going to dump out everything you know you need to be prepared for, right? You need to have enough teachers. You need to have everybody hired. They need to be trained. They need to be onboarded. Professional development, staff meetings need to be planned, master calendars, class lists. Make sure that the physical space is prepared. We're going to talk about all of this in a minute, but what I want you to really think about is, what would I need to believe about myself and about the work I'm doing that would have me feeling prepared? What would feel like I'm prepared, like I'm a prepared principal? What does that mean for you? Define that. Okay. Now, no matter what, there will be moments where you get behind because there's so many multiple needs, especially when they get crunched into certain seasons, like the beginning of the year. Certain things need to be in place by day one. Your brain's going to tell you that everything needs to be perfectly in place in its cute little perfect box in a cute little space by day one. That never happens. I just want to rip the Band-Aid off for you. There are things that won't get done by the first day of school. This is why it's important to really triage and say what is essential to have prepared, to have completed, to have done by the first day of school. And the goal of the first day of school is to get everybody in, get everybody fed, and get everyone home safely. That's it. First day of school. Welcome them in, get them to the right space, make sure they're safe, get them fed for lunch, make sure they go home safely. You have done an amazing job. That is the first day of an empowered principal. We're not doing it all on day one, okay? Let yourself breathe. Let yourself understand that you can triage, you can prioritize, and it doesn't mean that everything is perfectly in place on day one. But what you'll do is someone's going to say like, well, my computer's not working, or my technology this, or my phone's not working, or they didn't clean my carpet, or my class list keeps changing, or I keep having to like redo my name tags because they keep adding people to the class list or changing. Everything feels like a priority because you don't want anybody to be in discomfort. You don't want your staff to be in discomfort. You want them to have what they need to do their job well. And so then you are putting out little mini fires and you're forgetting the big picture, the perspective, the plan that you created. So you get multiple needs coming, a million multiple needs coming at you. A lot of it is just like emotional energy coming at you. Like they're not happy that the classroom changed, or they're not happy that the carpets aren't yet cleaned, or they're not happy they can't get the key to their classroom. And then you think that becomes a problem. And now it's a priority to solve it, to get it fixed. And then 10 of those things happen in one day, and you're like putting out those fires. You feel very confused. You play the whack-a-mole game. You're very overwhelmed. But then what happens is that you're actually underprepared. You feel behind because you let yourself get behind because you put out little fires versus sticking to the essentials that needed to be ready for day one. So, and I can give you some suggestions of essentials, but for your school, your essentials you need to identify them for yourself. There are certain commonalities that we're going to talk about in a minute, but I want you to see what happens. Everything comes at you at once. Something big comes up. It takes up all your time. There's constant interruptions. People want to visit with you and connect with you, and they're welcoming you back or welcome you in as a brand new first year leader. And you don't want to like not connect with people. So you talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and then you don't get the essentials done. So the important but non-urgent things they don't really seem to get done. The essentials don't get done because the non-essential but urgent things are less prioritized or less essential but urgent, kind of like taking up your energy and your attention happens. Then you're like, oh shoot, now I got to work late. And then you told your family you were going to be home by a certain time, but now it's 2 hours later and you're like, just go ahead and eat without me. I just got to get this done. I couldn't get everything done today. Or we take the work home, we try to have dinner, and then we work late. And then you're caught in this cycle. I know it intimately because I did it. But here's why it doesn't work. You don't think you have time to slow down and plan because you think you need to be in motion, like physical motion, working, doing, hiring, engaged at these meetings, doing all of this other stuff. And it's almost busy work. It's not the real work. It's not the result work. Okay. So there's a lot coming up and you get stuck in this cycle and you're spinning out, putting out fires, but you don't feel like you have your feet on the ground, that your head is on the, like you're not grounded. You're spinning, chasing fires. And ultimately what happens, you get very frustrated. You don't feel you're in control of your time or your energy or your attention. You feel chronically behind. And the truth is that you do get behind because the non-essentials snuck in and stole your time and attention and energy. And then you don't end up making the impact you want. And that's the big shame here. And I don't want that to happen for you. So I want you to be a part of this process so that you can learn right off the bat. From the very beginning, you're going to train your brain on how to essentialize and prioritize. Okay. There's much less required than you think, but everybody's telling you that everything's a requirement and you don't know the difference. And so you just do and you learn and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't really need to do all of this. I really needed to do this. You're going to learn a little bit of that along the way, but this can help you eliminate some of the trial by doing. Okay. And here's why it's really hard to I think it's super hard to prioritize and to be essential and say no to things because we don't want to disappoint people. Saying no is very uncomfortable. It's hard, especially when we're new because we don't know what to say yes to and what to say no to. Be prepared for that. You will want to say yes to everything. You'll feel yourself, but I want you to tune into that. When a yes feels like a yes, like, yes, this is what needs to get done right now, you will feel it. There will be an alignment that you feel. When you're like, oh, okay, yes, but it's like it's an interruption or it's like, it's really not even your problem to solve or somebody else is coming to you begging you to solve their problem for them so they can feel better, but it actually just sucks up a bunch of your time and energy. That's hard to say no to because we don't want them to be suffering. So we take on the suffering ourselves. We let our time be impacted, our energy, we let ourselves get interrupted, and then our priorities don't get met. We've been conditioned to say yes. We've been conditioned to value helping other people over helping ourselves. We haven't been conditioned to value slowing down and planning and prioritizing and constraining. Yes to this, no to that. And it's really a challenge to honor our time. When we put time on our calendar and say, from 1 to 2, I'm going to work on my site plan. Then it comes 1 o'clock. It's like, oh, I don't feel like doing that. Ugh, it's so tedious. It's so boring. Or, oh, I just don't even know where to get started. The brain never wants to do the work when it's time to do the work. It's hard to honor what we have planned for ourselves. So we have to focus on how we want to feel when it's done, how we're going to feel when that task is done, when we honored it, when we did the work, when we finished it. That is where it feels good to plan and think and prepare and honor the work. Okay. Here's what I want to offer. Your brain's going to offer you thoughts like this. I can't slow down to plan. There's just too much to do. I can't do that. That's too much time. Other things are more pressing. They're more important. how can I know what to do 3 months from now? I'm going to teach you a 3-month plan. It's 90 days, the first season of the school year. You're going to plan it out. This right now at the end of June, you're going to basically plan out your summer activities so that you're prepared for the first day of school without being stressed or procrastinating, thinking you have more time than you do, or not having any fun all summer and then feeling burned out when day one comes. So your brain's going to argue with you. Things come up anyway. Why should I plan? There's always a new fire. There's always a new priority. I can't possibly think that far ahead. I can barely get today's work done, let alone plan out 3 months. Why do you have me doing this? But here's the truth. You do have an idea of what is coming. You were a teacher, so you do know the rhythm of the school year. I want you to tap into the knowingness that you have, your internal compass. And I promise you this, you're going to argue with me on this, but you do have the time. Don't let your brain fool you. There's no time. It's too busy. The worst thing you can do is believe that, because then you're chasing your tail, thinking you don't have time, and then working more and more and more and more. That's what leads to burnout. It's not sustainable to just keep feeding the monster of there's not enough time. If work is like, Pac-Man, it's always wanting more and more time, and you keep feeding it more and more time, it will consume it. It will take it. This use of time, planning, even though your brain's going to argue it and fight it, it's going to be like, I don't want to do it, man. But that use of time is way more valuable than some of the things you're spending your time on now. If I came to your school and I sat down with you, I said, let's do a time audit. What are you actually spending your time doing from the time you set foot onto campus until the time you leave? You would be like, maybe there's work to be done here. You don't have to feel bad if you're not spending your minutes the way you want to be or that you feel like you should be. We all do that. Productivity doesn't mean 100% of the time. Productivity means I plan out my day, my week, my month, and I include emergencies, interruptions, commute time, time to eat, time to use the facilities, time to take a little break, time to get out and get some fresh air. That's all a part of your plan. We don't eliminate the human aspect of school leadership, the human aspect of what the job really looks like, which is sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you have an interruption that's worth being interrupted for. Sometimes there are true emergencies. Sometimes a teacher gets sick and you have to sub. Those things actually do happen a lot. We put those into the plan. And then you get more realistic and honest with yourself about how much you actually are going to get done today, tomorrow, this week. But when you plan out the future with intention and you set a vision, you actually visualize it, you feel it, you envision it in your body to the point you can feel yourself in the space you want to be in, you actually experience that future with presence because you've already planned it out. You're not having to react to it in the actual moment. So the value of the 3-month plan is that you're always going to be planning 3 months in advance. You need to be thinking 3 months in advance as a school leader. You want to know what to expect before it happens. So as a brand new principal, and I'm speaking to the brand newbies right now, you might be thinking, but I don't know what to expect. I've never done it before. Okay, fair enough. And let's imagine, what do you think you need to expect? If you had to guess, what would it be? My speculation is that you know so much more than you think you do, than you give yourself credit for. You've been a teacher. You know the rhythm of the year. What do you know? Focus on what you do know more than what you don't know. If you tell yourself, I don't know, if that's your self-identity, I'm brand new, I'm a blank slate, I don't know anything, you're just going to sit there waiting for people to tell you what to do. Or you're just going to be in full, okay, I guess I'm going to go do this, or I guess I'm going to do that. You'll have no agency over your time, your energy, and your attention. The value of this plan is you sit down and you think, you tap into what you do know. What do I know happens at the beginning of the year? We have a lemonade party for the kinders, or we have a meet and greet to meet the classroom teachers. We post at this time. This is what needs to be in place. I need to know, where kids are who's riding the bus, who's getting dropped off, who walks. We learn all of that on the first day of school. First day of school always looks different than the second day of school, than the second week of school, right? Because people want to drop off on the first day. It's very exciting. And then they're like, now I got to get back to work. Now I'm going to have Nana drop off the kids, or the babysitter drop off the kids, right? So when you have this, you do know as a teacher some things you can expect. Now, mark my word, being a principal is like becoming a parent. You can read about it, theorize about it, talk to other people who are parents, but until you actually give birth and you have your own child, or you adopt a child, or you bring a child into your life, into your existence, there are things you just couldn't imagine. Even though you read the books and you talk to all the people and you have friends with kids, there are those little things you just couldn't have anticipated. Every child's different. Their sleep habits are different. Their eating habits are different. Their digestive habits are different. Everything, their little personalities are different. You can't know until you're in it. That will happen. But what we're doing today is we're getting in here and we're going to actually, what can we anticipate? Okay. So think about some of those details. Let's map that out ahead of time. And once you do this, you feel like you're ahead. You've planned, you've thought about maybe some potential obstacles or things you need to overcome, or some problems that might show up. You can anticipate some of them. But when you do that, the unanticipated goes down. The surprises, the interruptions, the didn't see that coming, those are less. Things cost less when they're planned in advance. You can visualize it going smoothly. You can delegate in advance when you plan in advance, because you're mapped out, but you're going to feel better. And that's what this is about. Your leadership experience is about how you feel about yourself, how you identify, how the energy in which you decide to show up, make decisions, take actions. Are you doing it with intention, or are you doing it out of reaction? So I want to really sell your brain on the value of slowing yourself down and planning. Because what the 3-month plan creates for you is work-life balance, clear and concise communication, consistent actions. You get into some rhythms and some routines and habits that serve you well. There is a clarity of process and approach that you refine every 90 days. And then we create time for adjustments. If you're like, whoa, I way over planned, I got way less done than I thought, good to know. It doesn't mean you failed. It just means we need to adjust the plan. And when you do this and you refine this over and over again, you become more valuable. Sorry. Let me answer this. Okay. Sorry about that. I needed to give somebody some information. Okay. So you become more valuable as a school leader. Your time becomes more effectively managed. You can set some boundaries and priorities and standards around when you come in and when you leave, and the process you have in the morning, the process you have at the end of the day, what happens in the middle of the day. You actually get so much more done because your priorities are on the calendar, the deadlines get met, you have problems that have been anticipated in advance, decisions are made, time is not wasted. We do not spin out in a lot of procrastination and indecision. That's not effective leadership. We plan our communication to the best of our ability. We do our best to communicate, and then we find 10 different ways to say it because not everybody receives communication in the same way. You're not going to be able to communicate in one style, in one way, one time, and have everybody get it. Communication is about finding 100 ways to say the same thing, putting it into 100 different places. So don't be frustrated when somebody's like, I didn't see that in an email, or I didn't hear you say that in the meeting. Repetition and having it the same thing consistently over a lot of different venues and a lot of different methods is your best chance of the most people receiving the information they need. You're going to get more done in less time, and then you avoid so many last minute problems and expenses. But my goal for every empowered principal is to stop overworking, stop overexerting, and to stop overscheduling. You finally stop doing all of these things. So here are the steps. Number one, you're going to make a list. Brain drain it all, personally and professionally. You prioritize based on your values. You map out the details, you decide and delegate, and you calendar and honor. There are 5 steps. Make the list. Most of us know how to make the list. We dump it out. We get paper and we dump everything out. What we don't like doing is having to prioritize them because it feels like everything's a priority. But we base the priority list on what we value, what's important to us. Okay. And then the third step, once you prioritize it, I think prioritization is really hard because you don't know in the beginning. I'll help you with that. I'll definitely help you with it in EPC because you're going to need to do this process over and over and over. And sometimes you have to change your priorities based on new situations that arise. And then you have to map out the details. My brain does not like that part. It doesn't like the tediousness of mapping out the details. So then, once you've mapped out those details, you decide, what am I going to do? What are the ones that I have to do as an administrator? I can't delegate them. They have to be coming from me. You're going to think that the whole list has to be you. I will help you correct that in EPC because I teach you the art of delegation. You will learn how to delegate. You don't abdicate it. You're not just giving it away because you don't like it or you don't want to do it or you don't know how. That's abdication. Delegation is knowing the outcome you want to create, knowing how you want it done, and then teaching somebody how to do it. Or saying, here's the result. I'll let you do it your way, but I need this result. These are the standards. These are the parameters. Okay. And then what's left that's actually yours to do goes onto your calendar and then you honor it. So some things you need to consider professionally and personally, you're one human. So you're whatever's going on at home and what's going on at work, it all has to go on the calendar because it's one. You're one human. Consider deadlines. Consider events. You have a lot of events in the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, particularly. There's going to be a lot of meetings. There's going to be appointments, like personal appointments that you'll need. But you want to also consider, what kind of fun do I want to have? What kind of breaks do I want to take? How do I want to spend my time outside of work so that I calendar it and not forget to be a human that has fun, that goes out for dinner with friends or family, who goes home and has meals and enjoys their conversations with their own family, that you plan your travel, you go to weddings, you go to birthday parties, you go to, baby showers, you do all of those things. You meet up with your friends, you go to the gym. That all goes on the calendar. You do not stop living because you're a school leader. Okay? Then you also want to add one accomplishment, one major goal, one major, outcome or goal that you want to create for yourself. All right. So those are things to consider. When you join EPC, you actually get the workbook, the whole workbook that guides you through this. I'm just giving you an overview. It's pretty extensive. But you can do this. If you are not ready for EPC, if this is not your time to join, which I highly encourage you to join, because number one, it's for a full year of coaching. Number two, you're going to get access to all the resources. Number three, I've added a payment plan. So if you're a brand new principal and budget's a little tight, you can do 10 monthly payments of $199.70 versus paying the $19.97 in full. am not even charging interest or anything. You can just pay it over 10 months. So it should be accessible to most principals. If you're making admin pay $199.70, sweet deal for you. Okay. You're going to get access to all of this. And I want you to consider this as an investment in your professional and your personal growth. It's going to be the best return on investment you ever get, because you're going to learn how to manage your time, how to balance your time, how to plan relationships, emotional regulation for yourself, and holding space for others, and all of the skill set of leadership. Okay. So right now you're in the summer season. Some of the things I'm just going to tell you as a brand new principal, some of the things you want to consider in addition to all your personal stuff. You're going to want to consider, like, I need to get physical lay of the land down. I need to get on that campus. I need to know my campus. You don't want to just show up and go to your office. You want to know the physical layout. You want to be in classrooms, be in that library, go to the gymnasium or the multipurpose room, the cafeteria, the playgrounds, the yards, whatever your campus looks like, whether it's an enclosed campus, it's an open campus. Know the nooks and crannies, know where the water shuts off, know where the electrical boxes are, right? There are things like that you're going to want to know. You don't have to be an expert. You have a maintenance staff, hopefully, but you do want to know where they're at. Like out here in California, if we have an earthquake, we would need to be able to shut off the water and shut off the power. So what if my custodian was injured in the earthquake? Somebody needs to know. So you want to know these things. I'm not doing this to scare you. I'm just telling you some practicalities. Know the physical lay of the land. Know the room numbers. When someone's like, yeah, I'm over in room 24, and you're like, know the lay of the land, or at least have a map of your campus, okay? There's going to be a lot of cleaning and maintenance and construction projects over the summer. This is that little window of opportunity that people have access to service the classrooms and the common areas on your campus. So know that those kinds of things will be going on, and you're going to want to have a pulse on what they're doing, when they're going to be done, and checking in to make sure that they are making the progress they need to make so that teachers can access their room when it's time. Okay. You have technology set up more and more than ever. Classrooms are getting more technologically advanced, which is a beautiful thing, and it requires a unique learning set. Teachers are going to be coming to you saying, I need my tech set up. I need my tech set up. Hopefully you have a tech department that can help you with that. If you don't, if you're the one person on campus, that's going to be something teachers are going to be anxious to have set up and functioning. Their phones, their technology, their computers. See if that's something that's delegatable to a tech team. If not, you can maybe use your support staff, your office staff to help you with that. That's not something that you should be triaging. People are going to be very urgent about it, but it's not something that you want to be doing as a first year principal. You want to be finding out who can take care of that for you. Okay. Setting up your office. Now I want you to limit the time on this. A lot of times we can get into like wanting to make our office so beautiful, so cutesy that we spend hours, days, months, we paint it, we shop for it, we go to Hobby Lobby, whatever, we make it beautiful. I suggest putting a time limit on that. It can be fun to do, but you don't want to get caught up in that when you need to be covering your essentials. So make it cute, make it comfortable, and then get on, okay? One of the things that is very essential is hiring, making sure staffing is all in place. So you might be hiring, you might have people who thought they were going to be working and they decide not to come back. They go out on leave. Maybe they are expecting, or they have a parent they're caring for. Like sometimes people go on medical leaves, or sometimes people just take a leave of absence for personal reasons. You might have to hire during the summer. That's going to be an essential. The goal is to have everybody hired. I also do a training on how to attract the ideal people, how to interview, how to get your staffing completely done before the school year starts. Okay. That is definitely essential. You want your bases covered, but I'll tell you this. Last year, you might have experienced this. There were plenty of schools who did not have all their positions filled. There were schools who never got all of their positions filled. So I want you to know, do it to the best of your ability. Join EPC. I will help you with the hiring, But if you don't, there are alternate solutions. You will find a way to make it work. I watched people do it last year. That is where your creativity comes into place, the resourcefulness kicks in, and you really do whatever it is you can to make sure that everything's covered. Okay. Definitely, you're going to need to do your calendaring, your scheduling, your class lists. You're probably going to want to review the data, where kids are at, what's going on, what's working, what's not working as well, and where you want to, like, what you want to do, the approach you're going to take for the first 90 days of the school year. Most likely, you're going to want to develop your vision and your goal for the year. And you're going to be planning and preparing professional development, whether you present it or you just plan, you maybe hire it out. Like, people call me and have me come into their schools and do professional development, or I do it over Zoom. And you want to be thinking, are you hiring that out? Are you delegating that? Are you doing it yourself? That's another thing we talk about in EPC, like, what is the most valuable PD for the bang? Okay. Then reflection, introspection, and contemplation. The summer season is the best time to slow down, take a deep breath, and to reflect on where you were at last year, where you're at right now, and contemplate where you want to be. Summer season is about building up your identity as a leader. So those are some of the things that I recommend you consider in the summer season. So your summer 3-month plan might look something like this. Flexible, like, because you have more flexibility in the summer and a flexible schedule, this is time to play with boundaries. Time to play with what it would feel like identifying as a principal who doesn't go in at the crack of dawn. Maybe you come in a little bit later and you leave a little bit earlier. Play with those time boundaries. What would it look and feel like to be the school leader who leaves at 4:30 or 5 p.m. every single day and doesn't stay through dinner and miss dinner with the family? Play with boundaries over the summer. You have a lot more flexibility. There feels like it's less risky. There's less at stake. So play with it now, because you want to practice what it feels like going home at 4:30 or 5, so you can go be present with your family and have energy to take care of you and yourself and your loved ones. Okay. This is also a practice of prioritization. The summer gives you a lot of leeway to practice prioritization and to say no to some things on your calendar. Not today, that can wait until tomorrow. We're practicing the experience of being able to prioritize and essentialize and say no. This is the perfect time to plan and reflect. So we're talking about mastery of time, mastery of planning. The summer's the perfect time to reflect and plan and be in your head and be in the visualization and map out your vision and your goals. Summer's also such a great time to practice balance, because it's so much easier to have balance. Schedule in that fun, do lots of fun things. You can work a little and play a lot, because you're going to be working more and playing less when you get into the season of fall. Okay. Relationships. This is a great time as a brand new principal to connect with fellow colleagues, your fellow principals, with your district leaders, with the new staff members of your site. They're going to all be new to you if you're brand new at your site. Learning to connect with support staff, your office staff, your teaching staff, the district level, and then also coming into EPC and having a bandwidth, a community, a mastermind who can talk like you, think like you, understand like you, who gets what you're going through, to have the support you need week by week, day by day. It's such a relief knowing that you've got all of these people in your corner rooting for you. Okay. Leadership skills. In the summer is the time when you choose the one skill you'd like to hone over the next 3 months. You're going to be thinking about, my first 3 months as a leader, this is something I want to practice or hone my skill on. For most of you, it's going to be managing your time and your energy. Where do I put my focus? What do I prioritize? For most people, that's the first 3 months. It's just learning how to handle emotionally and mentally handle the demand, and stepping into the identity of a principal who knows what they're doing and knows how to master their calendar. Okay. And then emotional regulation piece of this, the mastery in this is just staying in tune. tuning inward to how you're feeling. It's okay to have a ton of mixed emotions right now. There's going to be a lot of excitement and a lot of overwhelm. There's going to be a lot of confusion, but also some clarity. You're going to have a mixed bag. That's okay. That's the summer season. And then when you start thinking about the fall season, which is getting into like August, September, October, into November, then you really are thinking about the kickoff, like I call it the kickoff, when you're kicking off school, right? That first week, the goal is just to welcome them, teach those routines and procedures and safety, get them fed, get them home, keep them safe, right? You can take the first week slowly. We're not diving into academics day one. We're diving into connection, safety, fueling the bodies, getting them physical exercise, teaching routines and procedures, helping them feel safe, feel welcome, feel included, helping them feel comfortable knowing that where to go to get a drink of water, to use the restroom, where they put their backpack, where they put their supplies, and same for teachers, like onboarding them, and you're just helping them. Where's the copy machine? Where is the paper? What's my code? What do I do if my computer's not working? Just thinking about the essentials from the teacher's perspective, from the family perspective, from the student perspective. And I have created workbooks on these, the student journey, the teacher journey, the community, the family journey, and what we need to do to connect with them, to onboard them, and to help them feel as connected to the community as possible. That you can receive when you're in EPC as well. You're going to be doing things like beginning of the year events, the posting the class list, the meets and greets, setting your staff up for success, the professional development that you're going to want to have, the mindset in addition to the skill set, observation schedules, site plans, safety plans, IEP master schedules. So you know in advance when IEP meetings are due. We schedule them ahead of time so that we're in compliance with the IEP and the SPED regulations and policies and laws. And then you're going to need to make sure you're onboarding, okay? So I won't overwhelm you with the mastery of all of that. I just wanted to plant those seeds to give you some insight as to what you need to be thinking about. So when it comes to time, you're going to allow a little bit of overworking, but no more than 4 weeks into the school year of overworking. So you are going to decide in the summer what your hours are, generally speaking. You do have night events, I understand, or early morning meetings. You can flex a little bit, but on the regular, you want to decide, I'm going to come in at this time and I'm going to try and leave by this time. Some people like to come in super early. They're early birds. They love that. They have the most clarity and focus in the morning. Great. You can come in super early, and then we want you getting home earlier. If you're a person who needs that time, maybe you've got to get kids to school, you come in a little bit later and you might be more awake in the afternoons, and that might be your focus time, and you stay a little bit later because partner's picking up the kids. Great. Okay. I want you to play around with this in the summer, because in the fall you're going to have to allow yourself permission to overwork in the first few weeks of school. But we do want to set some guidelines around that. And then with planning, your 3-month plan is already going to be in place for the fall because you've done it in the summer because you're planning 3 months in advance. Okay. In your fall plan, I want you to really consider putting a lot of unanticipated space. There's going to be a lot of unexpected issues that arise in the first 2 weeks of school. So those first 2 weeks of school, you're not trying to get a lot done other than be available for the unanticipated things. Okay. You're not going to do that forever, but you're going to give yourself a 2-week window where you do have a lot of availability to take care of emergencies and unexpected things that come up. That's what happened. By the second week of school, things start to calm down for the most part, usually. Mm-hmm. Balance mastery is going to be about having something fun to look forward to. You're going to spend a lot of time working. You're going to be fatigued in the fall. I feel like you're pushing a boulder up a mountain to get the school kicked off and everything running smoothly. So ensure that you have a plan, that you have time for sleep, that you're eating well, that you're moving your body, that you're taking some short walks, getting outside, getting a fresh breath, doing some kind of movement that feels good for you. Okay. Anything, whatever balance feels like for you. Ask your body, do I need sleep? Do I need to hang out with a friend? Do I need some time with my own kids? Do I need some time to myself? Do I need to get out and get some fresh air and take a walk? Do I need out of my office? Do I need in a classroom? What do I need right now? Tuning in with yourself, okay? The relationship mastery in the fall is all about connection, focusing on welcoming people, creating safety, creating a space where they feel community, they feel connected, they feel safe, they feel supported for your staff, your students, and your families. The leadership mastery in the fall is all about staying focused on the skill that you picked and not jumping ship on it. Because I don't want you to worry. Just because you pick one leadership skill that you're focusing on and using a lens through which you're making decisions to hone that skill, you're learning so many other things because you're doing them, okay? And then emotional regulation, it's really tuning back in. Your emotions are your compass. The fall can be very emotional because it's very tiring. You're doing a lot of heavy lifting to get everything trained, onboarded, prepared, things running smoothly. Your emotions need to be your compass. So decide how you want to feel. And if you're not feeling that way, you got to check in with yourself and see what's coming up for you. Okay. So step 1, you're going to make that list. Step 2, you're going to prioritize the list based on your leadership values. Step 3, you're going to map out the details. Step 4, make decisions about delegation. If you couldn't do it, who would do it? How would you train them? What's the outcome you're looking for if somebody else had to do that job? Now, there are some things like observations, they need to be done by an administrator, by you. There are things only you can do. Those go on your to-do list, but then you have to train people on the delegation list. And then step 5, calendar and honor. All right. Now, there's going to be a couple of pitfalls that will happen. Mapping out the details for most people feels very tedious. You got to get into the weeds on this one. If you're a big picture person like me, that's not fun for me. But I do it because I want to feel like I've combed through it all and I'm as prepared as possible. Because remember, the goal is to feel prepared. So don't skip this step, even though your brain is going to tantrum. It's not going to want to do it. It's not going to want to sit down and focus. It's going to say you should be doing something else. It wants to go out and feel productive, but really it's busy work. It doesn't want to do the actual work, the essential work. That's pitfall number 1. Pitfall number 2 is not delegating. The biggest mistake I see school leaders make, especially in their first year, is not planning and not delegating. It's the death of your 3-month plan. Excuse me. I've been talking so much today. All right. So it's the death of your plan. So trust that others can do as good of a job, or maybe even better than you. And you will be so delighted. All of my clients that work with me, whether they work with me one-on-one or they work with me in EPC, as soon as they learn to delegate, they love it and they can't believe they didn't do it sooner. So mapping out and delegating are 2 essential skills that you're going to want to have as a school leader because it's how you scale your impact. Okay. The third pitfall I see is saying not right now. There are true emergencies in a school. There are actual fires or there are actual earthquakes or there are actual tornadoes or there are actual flooding. I'm watching my home state of Iowa they got hit with all the tornadoes and all the high winds and the damaging hail and all of this. And now they're dealing with floods. It's so sad for me. True emergencies happen. Or, there's a CPS call you have to make, or there's a parent fight out in the, dismissal lane. It happens. Crazy things happen. But when you think about an everyday normal day, when people come to you and ask you to do something, it doesn't make it an emergency. You have to be willing to say, not right now. Let's schedule some time for that, or let's come back to that at a later time, okay? And the 4th pitfall, scheduling yourself back to back. 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, right? We don't anticipate meetings going long. The commute time between the district office and your school. We don't think about the time it takes to walk. If you have a big campus, it can take 5 to 7 minutes to walk from one end to the other. We don't think about bio breaks and like getting the interruptions and like, hey, you got a minute, or a parent comes in. You've got to give yourself some time and space to commute, time and space for meetings that go over. You got to plan time for interruptions on your calendar. And then you have to plan out. There are days that I call wipeout days, like something went awry and the day was a wipeout. It happens. It's okay. So I want you to consider the value of planning, taking the time to plan. Summer's the perfect time. If you're watching this live, this is the end of June. You've got July to plan, reflect, decide your identity, play around with your boundaries and your time, create balance, have the fun you need to have, get your fall 3-month plan in order right now. It's going to feel so good when you step into the actual first week of school, the planning and the professional development and all of that. So you want to stay 3 months ahead. You want to anticipate. You do know what you're doing to an extent. It's okay not to know, and it's okay to trust that you do actually know. There's a little bit of balance there. You're going to anticipate those obstacles. You're going to consider the details as much as you can without killing yourself and overworking. But what you actually do is you actually work less because you have planned to be more efficient with your energy and your time and your focus. Okay. This will lead to long-term benefit. This is why I'm teaching it to first-year leaders right now. The first-year leaders, if you can get this down, if you can learn this, even if you only join EPC for one round, most of the people who come in, they stay in and they go round after round because it's so valuable. But if you came in for one round and experienced the long-term benefits of this program, it's going to compound your effectiveness, your efficiency, your productivity, but also your joy, your pleasure, your delight, because this is about the quality of the experience you're having as a school leader. You can accomplish more in less time. You can be more productive. You can have way more fun, way more pleasure. You can have more time outside of work, more energy outside of work when you plan in advance. This is really a matter of your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health. It's balancing the mindset and the skill set. It's balancing the time. It's balancing your life. It's balancing the aspects of your relationships, all of that, the dynamic of all of that. You become more valuable as a leader. And when you do that, you become in higher demand. All right, my friends, that is the 1-hour quickie version of the essentials you need to think about, the reason behind planning, the value of planning. If there's anything I hope that I helped you with today, it's to see the value of slowing your brain down and going through the work of planning. It makes the actual work, the job you do, so much better, so much easier, and you have an entirely up-leveled, enhanced experience as a school leader. You don't have to be overworked, overwhelmed, exhausted, burned out, feeling like you're insufficient or that you can't keep up or that you're behind or that you're overwhelmed. You're stuck in an overwhelm cycle. They will happen sometimes, but then EPC is what gets you out of it. So join us for EPC. I can't wait to meet you guys. I'm going to post this in the EPC group, and I'm going to share it with anybody who did not catch the live and you want to watch the replay. If you reach out to me, you will have limited access to this video for a certain duration of time. Join EPC, you'll have access all year. All right, my friends, take good care. Talk to you soon. Bye.